What's up, everyone? It's Lumio City Cards. We have another grade reveal. This one is only, count it, like 10 or 11 cards. Today we are joined by Nugget. My sister crocheted him for my partner, and we just think he's the most adorable little goofy thing. This submission, let me make sure I grab the right side. This submission is, I believe, a value max tier. It's either value max or value plus. And we have a lot of good stuff. I do already know these grades. This is something where I will, every time going into these, know the grades already. But that's just because, again, I have no patience. I'm excited. I look at them. So, I typically only send things value max or value plus if I want to get it back quickly and if I, think it's above $300. Most of these cards did not come back quickly. PSA has kind of slacked on the value max and value plus orders over the holidays, which I don't blame them. It's Christmas time. A lot of people take a lot of time off. And so it's kind of expected that around that time period, you're not going to have as many people working. However, I'm still sending. So I'm hoping that with still sending, PSA will say, hey, we did not meet our deadline. I sent these back in September and October, sometime in there, and just got them back. It is mid-January. I got it back yesterday. Let me introduce to you the first card. This one I remember picking up at a card show. The Japanese Charizard looks so good. You can see that texture there on it. The light's not really helping it right now, but the texture on the Japanese one, here, let's see. Yeah, you can see it like that. You see all those lines there? It really stands out in the right lighting. This isn't the best lighting for it, but it got a 10. I saw this card when I was vending at a card show, and I was like, I gotta have this. I've always wanted one of these in a 10. It looks so good. However, I am going to end up selling this again because that keeps the cycle going so I can grade more, because I am hooked on grading. I always thought those hooked on phonics things were really funny, but hooked on grading, that's a little more accurate for me now. I was one of those kids that preferred math to any sort of English. It's probably how I ended up in a field where it's a lot of numbers. I played the TCG for a long time, and I played after this deck was popular. But this card is so cool. Favorite artist, Akira Nagaba. I was originally trying to get all 4 of the gold gods in a 10. And then I got all 4 of the gold gods in a 10 in Japanese, sequential. And I said, you know what? It's got cooler texture. It's got the same art. I'm just going to stick with those. And that's really nice because this card, it got a 10, and it is worth a lot in a 10. I'm not putting numbers or anything up, but most of these I'm making around $100 on. This card, I made about $150 in a 10. This one, I'm making about $100, maybe $200. The price in a 10 has come down since I originally sent it in, though. Here we have another Japanese card. They typically grade better when they're Japanese, just because the quality control is better. But any sort of whitening doesn't stand out as much, as well as any sort of bends really show up. So you have to be careful to make sure there's no bends. And the centering is generally good, but when it used to be 60-40, everything fell inside that. That was Japanese. Nowadays, you actually have to double check. This card, ridiculously cute. It got a 10. It's just cute. I honestly am only making like $20-$30 on grading this in a 10 because of how long it took to come back and how many of these have been graded recently. Still, ultra popular, very high demand. Another English. Look at that back. Looks good. There's a little thingy on the slab there. It's not actually on the card. Flip it over. It's a Glaceon V. Now, something I want to point out. This card is not perfectly centered. You see that left side? It's just the slightest bit bigger than the right side. That means you gotta measure it. However, thankfully in this case, it got a 10. This Glaceon is adorable. I pulled one of these from Evolving Skies pack myself, and that's when I was like, I'm done opening Evolving Skies. I got a hit. I'm happy. Moving on, another Japanese card. I think I know what this one is. Yep. Nagaba. Love these cards. They're incredibly hard to get, especially now that there's tariffs. These cards have gone up in price a lot. The Glaceon V, I'm probably making like $100 getting that in a 10. This one I think I'm making around 80 to 100 because this card in a 10 only grades really well. The one thing you have to note is you got to look over the holo, because if the holo has a bunch of scratches, it might get knocked down. This one got a 10 because there's not many scratches on the holo. It's well centered, no whitening. I actually got this one sealed at a card show. It was the slowest card show I've ever been to. I did maybe like 6 deals the entire day. Not my fault. There was just no one there. There was no advertising. It was, I'm not going to name it just for the sake of the production, but it was in Richmond, and some of them are good in Richmond. This one apparently wasn't. So I bought one of these from another vendor. It looked good enough to grade, and he had 3 of them, so I wasn't taking away all of his inventory. Here we go. This one. It looks pretty good. Up at the top back, there's a little bit of a ding up there. Jolteon from Prismatic. Now, I pulled one of these myself. This is not the one that I pulled. I got this in a trade, and I didn't think it would get a 10. It got a 9, and I expected it to get a 9. It's within centering everywhere. However, this corner at the top, you can see that there's a little ding in there. I was like, I want to see how that ding and then the corner up here being just a little bit messed up affects it. And honestly, I think a 9 is well deserved. It's what I expected the card to get. I'm losing about $70 on that because the price has fallen since I graded it, and I graded it value plus, so it was $40 to grade. Here we've got another English card, Zekrom EX. This one's my partner's favorite card, and this one got a 10. And something I want to note, these cards don't have to be perfect. Sorry about my Microsoft Teams. I have some time right now to record, so I figured I would. It's got a little ding up here, and I was considering that and thinking, maybe it'll get a 9, maybe it'll get a 10. This one got a 10. Moving on. We have nothing wrong with the back on this. We have a Mega Evolutions Gardevoir. Unsurprisingly, this card got a 10. These cards grade really well. As long as it's centered well, it grades well. And the texture on these is really pretty. The card is really pretty. But be careful. The prices on these are going to fall because there will be a lot of 10s compared to previous sets. The quality control on the Zekrom versus the Gardevoir is very different. These are all clean. These are not. Granted, if it's a cool card, it'll still get a value increase from grading. That's why Japanese cards do. Alrighty, here we go. A Dark Blastoise Legendary Collection Reverse Holofoil. Now, I bet you're looking at this and you're thinking, holy cow, this thing would be crazy in a 10. I can tell you right away, it's not a 10. I didn't send it in with the intention of getting a 10. It got a 4. Now, I fully expected it to get a bad grade. You see all that whitening, you see that gunk on the back, you see a little ding in the top, and it got a 4 because it has all of that. It's still a clean card on the front, but it was definitely beat up. In fact, I thought I remembered there being a crease on it. I'm not seeing it now. But this is one of those cards where it's worth it to grade because you just don't see this card very often. Even in a 4, this is worth more than damage. It's worth more than heavily played. I'm going to make some money on this card just because I graded it. Legendary collection cards are sick. You grade them just because they look cool. An Expedition Charizard Holo. It's got a good holo. It's a beautiful card. But have you spotted it yet? This card got a 3. And that's what I expected. I was actually expecting it to get a 2. The card's quality is not great. And at the time, I wasn't sure exactly how a crease right up here would affect it. See if I can get the light to show that. Yeah. Creases like that, where it's pretty big and it goes into the card. Those I wonder if they'll get 2s or 3s or 4s, but it's shown recently that every time I've graded one of these creases give them a 3. So if the card is damaged, as this one was, it'll get a 3. Plain and simple. This card's still worth it for me to grade. I mean, it's an Expedition Charizard. You don't see these every day. And now for the last one. Mew and Mewtwo Full Art Tag Team. Now, if you've ever graded with PSA, you know Sun and Moon borders are notoriously confusing. You've got a silver, black, silver border. So where do they grade from? Is it outside of the black line? Is it both of the silver, including the black line? How do you measure the corners? They have this big border thing over them. And, well, it depends on the grader. You typically are supposed to measure from within the inner silver border to the edge of the card. However, sometimes you have this bottom silver border where the bottom silver looks a lot thicker than the top silver. Now, I say a lot loosely. This is probably a margin of like 5%. However, the border widths are the exact same when measured. These cards are hard to judge. And because of that, I get a lot that are 8s or 9s that I don't think should be 8s or 9s, and they are. This card specifically, I wasn't sure. I sent it in, and we got a 10. This card was my biggest win from the submission. This card I spent probably around $100 on. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know that it's going right now in a PSA 10 for $600, which is crazy. But part of that is this isn't a promo. You had to pull this. And a lot of the cool alternate art promos, you didn't have to pull them. You open them out of a tin. So there were a good amount of them printed and kept in decent quality because you pull it out of the tin, you put it in a sleeve, and sometimes in a top loader or a binder. Whereas these, not as common. So we ended up with a 3, a 4, a 10, a 10, a 10, a 9, a 10, a 10, a 10, another 10, and lastly one more 10. These two cards were not expected to 10. This one, I had a feeling would get a 9. And so we end off with some really cool cards. Expedition Charizard, Legendary Collection Dark Blastoise, and you saw all of these. My favorite one, probably this Giratina. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed.